Hey everybody, welcome back to our filmmaking production diary episode called "There's Something Wrong with Mayo." My name is Miguel Ortega, and this is my co-host Tran Ma.
Hey everyone.
Yeah, you look really, 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 really blurry.
You're blurry too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look blurry to me. Connection is very low, so it looks like you might be having some.
Does the look okay though? The actual room you have.
I don't know because it always looks clear on what James says is blurry but viewable.
Okay. Well,
Maybe it's.
turn off my camera. Okay. Turn off your camera as well.
Okay, my camera's off.
So hopefully that does it. So anyway,
Sorry about that.
yeah, sorry about that. There's nothing we could do about that if our connection is just crappy. So yeah, so we're showing the making of a short film in Unreal Engine 5. What are we in now? 5.2?
5.2.1.
Yeah, and we did this last year. We did a short film called The Voice in the Hollow, and that did pretty well. And went to a bunch of film festivals. It's still getting into a bunch of film festivals. We got accepted into 3 film festivals today. Bend Film Festival in Oregon, which is an Academy qualifying festival, which is great. Flickers, Rhode Island. So that's another Academy qualifying festival. And then the Sci-Fi and Terror Film Festival in Bogota, which it's a small film festival, but I just sent it because it's my hometown, so that's pretty cool. So 3 of them, and we got rejected by 1. So yeah, so that's I'll take that. And so yeah, so Tran, do you want to show a little bit about the stuff you've been working on? Because you did a lot this week.
Oh, I did a lot, and I also ran in a circle, and I panicked.
There's a lot of panicking this week.
There was a lot of panicking. I worked a ton, so I've been doing a lot of crunching and sleeping very little, just trying to figure out some of the issues that we're having, which is really normal, to be honest. It's just how it goes. Like it comes down to the art direction and the aesthetic. So we went with originally if let me just load a different instance of Maya. I'll leave this here, but I don't want to, and I'll minimize this because I think that's easier on my card. But I'll load a different instance. So I'll show you where the set is. So like last week I showed this set and I was like, yeah, I'm almost done. I feel confident, good. And if you were watching the stream last week, I showed like, hey, I textured this, blah, 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 all that stuff.
And just so you guys know, if you're tuning in for the first time, our story is basically this world that is all made out of fabric. These little characters are made out of fabric, and they live in the inside of a tree, a cedar tree. And this, we wanted it initially to feel like, okay, they carved it out of wood. But our original idea was to make everything look like it was made out of fabric. Tran built this. It's absolutely beautiful. But then we started looking at it. We're like, is this deviating too much from the story? Like, yes, it is beautiful, but if it doesn't serve the story, how does that help us? And the whole thing is this is all made out of fabric because the villains are the moths that want to eat them. So we presented that thought, and then Tran went on this crazy rampage, which she will show you.
Yeah, so I'll put like a better kind of material. because I have some weird colors. Makes it hard to look at.
Is the video still choppy? It feels like it's going better, but I'm not sure.
Well, I look at the bars; they're a little bit better, but
Where are the bars?
they're next to our names. But we can turn on the camera later. Just give me one moment. Let me try to just fix this presentation.
So this is the room, and you can see, hey, Francis, Happy Flight, and Bobby R. What's up? So our cameras are down today because
Our
our connection strength sucks.
Yeah.
And when we put it on, it goes to hell.
Okay, so you can see here, this was the set I was showing last week, just as a reminder. And for anyone new, this is new to you. But I had built this and...
Click on it. Show the topology. So that's all properly modeled.
Yeah,
no
so
decimation.
Yeah, so it's all properly modeled and everything. And this is supposed to be our biggest main set. The rest of the sets are going to be smaller than this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I had textured it also. And these were wood. And we were saying maybe the color palette of this world is like, you know, obviously if you have wood, that leaves you brown, right? Brown and green, which is not, which is a nice color palette. If you ever look at like Victorian houses and interiors, those colors are really common and very beautiful. And then like what Miguel was saying, like, was this deviating too far? So like, I don't know, we stuck our characters in it, and it was like, do these cloth guys really belong in this world? Does this feel right? And honestly, I really didn't like the colors, and I was saying that last week, because when you light a wood interior with warm lights, which is what we want, it turns orange, and it was like orange and green. I was like, I don't really like orange and green. I mean, it could work, but I wasn't a fan of that either. So then what I did was like just go, you know, like, I mean, that's the thing, right? You have to kind of, like you already built all this and it took time. So some people were like, well, that's it. That's what we have. But for us, we're like, no, we're going to get this right. And that's why I was crunching last week. So it's like, what if, I mean, we had talked about earlier in the stream that we wanted this to be a cloth world, and then how did we end up with this? And they're like, I don't know. We just ended up with this. Because we talked about like, how do you do cloth wall? Like if everything is made out of cloth, right? And this is like, everyone should think about it. I'm kind of saying like a rhetorical question. If everything is made out of cloth, how do you make your house, how does your house look like, right? Does that mean your interior looks like a tent? Because that's not very pretty, right? We don't really want like...
Well, we kind of did that on Voice in the Hollow, actually. That's exactly what they were.
Yeah, Voice in the Hollow was all tent type stuff, but it wasn't, you know, and it felt primitive, and that was cool, but a lot of our stuff is not like exterior shots. Most of our stuff is interior in here. So then you just have like cloth draped back and forth in your scene, which is kind of, I don't know, not what we're really going for. So we said no to that. And then we thought about, or Miguel thought about, what if they were like knitted fabrics? We're like, doing knit CG is like not very easy. Especially,
we looked into it.
Yeah, we looked into it, and it's not very easy, especially when you think about the scale. Because if these guys are little and they're like the size of Smurfs, each knit is like gigantic. And you're going to see the fibers very clearly, and if you can't pull that off, you got a turd. So I was like very afraid of that. It's also super time consuming. Like more, to me, time consuming to do a knit interior than something like this, right? Like much harder to try to model that.
Move around, just so people could see.
Yeah. So anyway, then I just said, I don't know, let me just try some stuff in Marvelous, right? And then I did, and that's this interior, which, hold on, okay. So this is the same set, except everything is quilted. including the windows, right? So I quilted. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's see.
What are anybody commenting? Because my computer's like feels like it's completely frozen, so I just want to make sure that you're still streaming fine.
I see some. Yeah, looks like people are commenting.
Okay.
Yeah, yours is not refreshing. You're stuck.
Yeah, mine's complete. I actually think my computer's like dead.
It crashed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I can still. People can still hear you. That sucks. Hold on. Let's come back here. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. So I went in and I quilted everything. And this is the detail we have.
So what you did there, just so people understand, you basically went into Marvelous Designer.
Yes, and I sewed a bunch of stuff on top of the walls.
On top of this. So that's just insanity. I have never seen architecture done with Marvelous Designer.
Well, like, and you know, it's risky because I don't know if it's going to work, right? Like, I don't know, and that's why I was crunching because I don't want to spend too much time. I'm trying to see if it works and I don't know what it looks like in my imagination. Like, I haven't seen it before either, so I had no idea. I still don't know if it's going to really work, to be honest. But it is a cloth world, right? And you can see some of the details here. I'll open the Marvelous file. But let me just grab. Oops. Let's isolate this. So I even did the floors. So we got quilted floors like this.
Yeah, those are cool.
You
rotate around, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a little mini. They could be a seating area, also like a little mini stage. It's not the floor. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a little stage area, and here's a section. You can see how it looks when I zoom out, isolating that. So that's what I had there. And again, I don't have this part done, but I feel like, you know, if I have this much, I can kind of see, is this going to work? The idea of the quilted windows is very tricky because they are windows, right? And why are they quilted?
Why would there be fabric over the over the windows?
And I realized how ridiculous that is, especially when I was doing it. Like, what?
The other thing we started noticing, by the way, this we'll get into later, but we started getting afraid of the glass and the render times. So we started doing this in, what's it called again? Path Tracer.
Yeah.
And Path Tracer is much nicer looking, but it's much slower. And we were doing like look dev tests on the characters, and it definitely looked like, wow, this looks way better. But once we started putting the characters into a world and everything, it started feeling like, are we losing everything that we are gaining from using Unreal to begin with?
Yeah, and not just that. I don't think the environments really benefit from it. Like, I do think I can get these type of environments. I'm sure there's definitely certain environments where Path Tracer really shines more, but I felt like I could, get this look with Lumen working pretty well. So I don't know, had an existential crisis on many fronts, and that's why I was panicking. Like, what's going to happen? If you guys were like if you ever pay attention to our previous stream for our first short, I think I spent most of the time in existential crisis. Like, I didn't know what the colors of this world was going to be, struggle with the lighting, and I kept talking about the art direction that I couldn't get it. And probably for over half the stream, or half the streams of all the videos, I was, just really unsure of how things were going to look. Your computer's still frozen, huh?
Yeah, it's still frozen.
Okay, so yeah. So in any case, this is one part in Marvelous. I basically export the mesh, and this is metallic, as you can see, and explain why it is. And let me just backtrack.
Just be checking the messages just to confirm that.
That connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep looking over. James says we can do a short break and then rejoin. So we'll do a quick break. So I exported this model, and the reason why this is metallic is, and this is inside Marvelous, just to be clear, is that when this is not metallic, I couldn't see the lighting makes it very hard to see the surface and the bevels. And what I did in order to generate this mesh, you can start seeing I have these lines, is I just use a tool in here, and it's a line tool, and you can draw on it, and it was just easier for me to see it when it was metallic. Like you hit certain parts, and like right here, I don't really know where the edge is, and I don't want to be too zoomed in because then it. The one thing about this program is it doesn't pivot very well on anything that's not a human, right? So this is larger than life-size human. So I was trying to do it kind of zoomed out. So what I did in here was just use this tool to draw these lines, and then from the lines, generate a piece of fabric. Now, the way the tool works, just to explain it a little bit better, is you just use the line avatar, and then I click, and if I hold Control, it gives me like the red dot, which gives me a smoother curve, so I don't have to do as many. And I'll just close a piece here, like a very small one. That's not going to look very good. It's going to be really off the pattern. And just close that shape like this. And then, if I have a messed up piece like right here, I could edit it. The other thing that's a little bit janky about this is it's kind of hard to edit the pieces a little bit. It kind of snaps when you don't want it to. And then let's say I have this kind of closed shape outline. I can use the flatten tool and click on. This tool is also really hard to use, so it requires a lot of patience. I need to highlight it blue and click on it, so I'm having trouble a little bit. And now that I clicked on it, if I just press enter, it would just create that fabric piece, right? So that's how I did that. And then I did that for the whole entire thing, basically like that. Now, the second step on this is I would freeze this piece. And freezing would mean that it doesn't sim at all. And I might then come here and decide, like, I want it quilted with different pattern shapes. So let's say I break this up. Let's turn on snap. So I turn this off. It's usually on by default. So I have something like that. And then I'll make this like a curved piece like this. And then I might, let's just say, create another pattern here. And then just curve that. Okay, so now I have some kind of pattern like this. And then once I have that, I'll just grab this layer clone over. And then unfreeze this. And then what I will do in here is select the clone pattern here. And under shrinkage, weft, and warp, for those who don't know, weft and warp is the direction of the thread, right? So weft is like your horizontal direction, and warp is your vertical direction. So basically, your width and your height, they're both at 100. I don't know if you can see the text. 100 means 100%. If I enter a value, let's say 103, it makes it 3% larger. And then I can apply pressure, which is like air, so that it's a little bit puffy. And I just sim it. And then I get something like that, which is really bright. So let's just darken it, because I don't like white fabric in here. It just blows out. So just give it some darkening. And then I'll get like a kind of quilted piece like this. It's not very high res. What I'll do is I'll bring it down. So let's say I bring it down to 5. And then you can see I have something like that. And then the whole thing becomes like that, right? So I create these like kind of large sheets. The tracing part takes a little bit of time, but I'm kind kind of very patient with that type of stuff. Gypsy, I admire your patience, dedication. Hats off. Thank you. I have lots of patience with this type of stuff.
Yeah, that's just complete insanity.
Yeah, I'm a meticulous person. So I did that to the whole thing. And I'll show you.
The thing that was crazy is that you had to do it good enough to know whether this was going to work, which would require a lot of
Yeah, it's a
time.
commitment, right? And it's very stressful. Because
You know what? What was funny about it is like we kind of came to this realization at the same time.
that this is not working out.
Even though we both thought it looked nice, we were like, this is not working for this world.
Yeah. Totally not. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like when you do these type of projects, you're like kind of gambling because in your head you have an idea, and that idea just might not work. And I don't think concept art is going to help. So it's not a lack of concept art or the idea of needing it. The other thing is too, like if you have really nice concept art and you can't execute it anyway because it's out of your limitations or of your ability to do for certain reasons, it doesn't do anything. Hey everyone.
All right, can you guys hear us again?
Yeah.
Probably everybody left, but
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Do you want to share camera?
Not really. I don't want to.
Crash again?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just cameras down today. Anyway, sorry guys. So Miguel's computer, which is driving the connection of the audio, just took a big crap, and it
Like major.
yeah, and
It restart. It forced itself to restart like 3 or 4 times.
and fix itself, I guess. You know, like when Windows has to repair itself.
Yeah.
So that was why we bleeped out. Anyway, where were we at?
Well, you're just showing the crazy work.
Yeah. Yeah, showing the crazy work. Now, and then what I was talking about was, I don't know if it's going to work, right?
Can
So
you zoom into it? I just want to see it.
the lighting in here is really like weird. I don't really like the lighting, but you can see. So I'm using the same technique. I did the trace, and then I layer cloned this puffy fabric on top. I guess the only good thing about this is that I'm pretty patient,
That looks crazy.
and thanks. And I'm pretty good at drawing patterns, right? Like I can do those type of stuff. It's like in my nature or whatever. So again, I don't know if this is going to work, right? So then I did all that, and then I did the window. Now, part of the thing that makes this really hard is the fact that I had built the geometry first. That was very complex. So if I had started with a very simple geometry, it would have made it a lot easier, right?
So someone is saying that we got cut off when we were explaining how this wasn't working for our world.
Yeah.
Let me just answer that real quick. Just our world is characters. They're made out of fabric. The world is made out of fabric. The bad guys are moths. So we just started looking at the set and feeling like we're losing the point of the story. So
Yeah, you're like getting lost in
design.
getting lost in stuff, right? It's like very hard to maintain your perspective in things and clarity. And it's like that with everything, right? Like when it's the story, the design, the characters, the assets, like on every aspect. And then the thing that makes this a little bit harder to do, like let's say this aesthetic actually works out, it's actually gonna move faster on other environments versus this one, because the issue with this environment was that it was already very detailed, right? So like I already had all this shit like this, and you know, it looks like it takes time to do all that stuff. And when I want to quilt on it, I can't just like,
Yeah, you can't just
I can't freehand.
put a sleeve on it.
Well, I can't just draw whatever I want. I have to
It has
do,
to flow.
well, I have to trace it,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, if this was like this entire mesh, let's do this. If this mesh didn't have any of these lines that you see here, and it was just one big flat piece like this, and just completely blank on the inside, this is very quick to do. Because when you're drawing in Marvelous, you can just draw whatever, right? The problem is like tracing these lines, right? And that's really tedious because it takes longer to do that. On the steps that I did here, the base mesh is just this. So it's very easy because I can do whatever I want. I can just do whatever, and I'm not tracing anything. So if this aesthetic works, the base mesh will be probably something this simple. And then the pattern making is very free, and I'm not tracing the corners and edges of stuff. And you know, it does suck a little bit. So these are the windows, and these are tricky too because I had built the frame. Yay! Okay, so when same thing. These were the frames, right? And to even get that texture took a bit of creative thinking because the problem in that one was the same thing that I had built, this, right? So I had this mesh. And then now I have to figure out how to draw on the inside, except if you bring two meshes like this into Marvelous, and then you say, hey, I'm going to draw right here, the problem is Marvelous gets confused what you're drawing on, right? So it doesn't know, am I drawing on the frame or am I drawing on this? And then that causes like a whole other fun disaster. So what I did is I generated an ambient occlusion map from these two. And then from that map, I created a texture. So this blue and this yellow is actually literally a texture right here, right? So yeah. And I don't know if this is going to work. The window is like, makes no sense for it to be quilted. And I completely understand how stupid that is, right? Like, I know that it's dumb. So,
But it looks cool.
yeah, but how will light react when it passes through, right? So it looks cool like this, but does it even function as a window? So anyway, I exported those pieces. I did two versions of the window, where one, the mesh is a single-sided piece, and one where I extruded and gave it thickness. So one where it has thickness and one where it doesn't, because the materials will do different things depending on what you want it to do. So then I brought it in here, and I put this on top, and we're using Lumen. I have some weird shadows like this because I have light leaks, which is not so bad to fix, kind of crappy, but I can fix it. So it's not a big deal. And the thing is, when I try to go right now, this has a glass shader. I don't know. Take a look, Miguel.
Yeah.
Right when it has a glass shader, it's like this, and then I'm just thinking, did I waste my time? Okay, but when you get up close and you look at that quilt, it does look kind of cool. Now there's no textures, right? So I don't really have time to texture it. So there's a question: where did you bake your AO in Maya? No, I just baked it in Substance because it's very fast to do that in Substance. So I just did that. Like I think it would take a long time in Maya, and then I sharpened it in Substance. So I had like the tools for that. But now I have this quilted glass thing. I did try to put.
That is the glass shader, though, right?
That is the glass shader, but there are no textures on anything. So this is textureless, and I don't want to texture it, but it will look different once it has texture. So there's all kinds of things.
You don't want texture because it's a nightmare.
Well, I want to see how this looks first, and basically, even Miguel hasn't really seen this yet. So you guys are seeing it for the first time. I'm kind of seeing it for the first time, also.
What have I not seen?
This being glass. I didn't show this to you, did I?
No.
Yeah. Now, if I put like a subsurface material on this.
But you didn't show it to me because you didn't really think about keeping that as glass. Did you?
Well, I don't know. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, let's say I put a subsurface scattering material like this. No light passes through. Right, so this is where I'm at, and then Miguel, you get to see it. There's no light. The light doesn't pass through. It just sits like this, and then now it's dark.
Can it just be a shader like the one we had on Voice in the Hollow in the ceremony scene, like on the fabric?
Yeah, let's try that. So let's just hide this. Okay.
Bobby says it looks amazing. Anything you can come up with on top of this is a bonus.
Oh, thanks. Look at the lighting too, though. Look at the shadows. What's wrong with the? They look all. Look at, you see those shadows?
Yeah, they're very polygonal.
What's going on? I just updated it too. So there we are. Okay, so what did I just type? Let me just type that in the chat. So for those who just saw that, the shadows are very polygonal. It's your ray tracing nanite mode. And I'll paste it in here. You have to set it to 1, otherwise your shadows will be very polygonal, which is very strange. I can do that. Like, let's say I do what we did in Voice in the Hollow. Let me find that geometry.
So Drupsky says it being glass with fabric pattern inside the glass kind of looks nice. Yeah, it does look nice.
I think it does, but you didn't sound like you liked it.
No, I think it should be fabric. Just thinner fabric.
All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, so this is the single-sided version, meaning there's no thickness, right? So we can't see the backside, so it becomes invisible. And let's say I pop a non-glass material. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. What material is this? No, that's glass. Is it this one?
I mean, it wasn't the glass the issue all along anyway, that it was taking too long to render.
Not in Lumen.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is a different type of material. So I have two subsurface materials. Just to kind of see if I could explain this. So they behave differently. So this subsurface here doesn't have a subsurface profile. So if I show you, let me find the parent and find the master here. So this is the master, and the shading model is just set to subsurface, and there is no subsurface profile right here. It's just, my pen's not working. It's left blank like this. Okay, and blending mode is set to mask. The second subsurface material that I have that works for thickness, hold on. I'm actually really disorganized, as you can tell, because I'm trying to figure it out. And I've made a mess, and I have to clean that up. Okay, so this is my second one, and this one has a subsurface profile. So the difference between the two of them is one works for a mesh with thickness, and the other one works for single-sided surfaces, right? So the one with that is going to calculate the thickness has a subsurface profile attached to it, and the one that is for a single-sided surface has no subsurface profile, just to clarify. If I want light to pass through, so back here, I have this light, and it is hitting through this thing, like this. And then what that gives me is this kind of glow, right? Which is like in Voice in the Hollow. Now, it's, I don't know how it really looks. Do you think that's better?
Well, I mean, right now it just looks like there's, like, the light from the front is what's affecting it, not from the back.
Yes, so that's the thing, right? Let's say I kill these lights. Are they working? So I've turned off these lights.
That does look better.
Right, and then let's say to see the full effect, I turn off my HDR. Okay, so I didn't turn off that. I turned off the wrong one. There we are. So now I turn on that back one. What does this have? Oh, that still has the glass. So now you can see it's doing that. It's doing this noisy thing because it doesn't like it.
Why doesn't it like it?
Because I'm probably over cranking it. I know we're using Lumen. You increase the samples, you can probably get rid of some of that stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. But that's that effect. So now the light is passing through. Now this here is glass, right? So these here have not been quilted. They are thick, and light passes through them. Here's another thing. So one thing I was noticing, and again, I have different meshes because I don't know what to do basically. Let's say I put on the thick one, and here I throw the glass back on like this. You can see light passes through that. Let's turn my lights all on actually. And let me turn on my HDR and my directional light. Okay, so now I have this again. This material here, and that's another thing. I don't have a lot of experience of dealing with glass in in Unreal.
In Unreal.
Because in our last project we had no glass. Everything was incredibly basic material, which simplified things. And so these are new challenges. So glass here, the way it works is your opacity controls how opaque it is, which is very different than a more physically accurate glass. So if I set this to 0, it's completely see-through like that, right? If I set it to 1, it doesn't actually become opaque. It does, but light still passes through it.
Frosted glass.
Yes. So it now doesn't, it still allows light in. So you can see it's being lit up, which is kind of interesting. And that's why I was leaning more towards that, right? Or is that not what you do? Now I can go back here. You can see I'm like going around in circles, right?
It does look nice when there's a lot of light coming in from outside.
Yeah, I did think this too. Like, okay. So now I can go.
Like, what if it's just open like that, and you just have grass outside?
And trees.
Yeah, like it's more Turkish or Moroccan, where it's just holes like that.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of lighting we're supposed to have.
You see what I mean? Like when you look at like Moroccan, those windows that have those really ornate patterns.
Yeah. Well, let's try this one more time.
Like that book that we have, The Orientalist. That
Yeah.
beautiful art book.
That's a good idea, but I do want to show this before we make a decision. So this is my original mesh.
Yeah, that looks beautiful too.
So that's my original one, right? And this is one that's not quilted yet. So there's also this. It's still, when you have glass though, it does dark. It just changed like how dark it is. So if I take this glass and I kill the opacity, you still don't get shadows, which is really weird. You see, like we don't have shadow casting at all. But if I hide these, I have shadows. So, and that's not what I'm used to, right? Because, just to explain a background, I'm used to working not in Unreal, like using a renderer.
Wait, so I want to see people's response. So they're saying, "Wow, this is beautiful and sick." Which one are you guys referring to? The Windows on or Windows off? JD Smith, yeah, Tran modeled this because Tran is crazy.
Yeah, I'm a psycho.
That's why they call it Tranzilla.
And then we have these lights in here. Yeah, what do you guys think? Like, how do you guys feel with the windows off?
As I say, windows off. Oh, windows off, tinted glass, windows. We have two, two windows off.
Windows off has great orange glow that the windows kind of prevent. I mean, I'm confused.
So just go show the two and
Hold on.
so this one is windows off.
Yeah. Oop,
So what I like about this is when the moths attack, you would see shapes moving outside, which is really cool.
Okay, so let me make this simple because my mesh, I'm really dirty right now. I'm disorganized.
I love how it's like half and half. Half like the windows and half like it without the windows.
I can't find my mesh. Oh, here it is. I just made it transparent like a genius. So I got confused. Also, nanite doesn't work on refractive objects.
Is that what it is?
What?
Is that why you're not getting the shadow, like the stained glass on the floor? Like that right there. Why are we not seeing? Go back to the one with the glass.
I don't know.
Like, why is there no like?
Shadows?
Yeah, like in a church, you would see the red and blue and all that on the window on the floor.
I don't know. I feel like that's just a limitation. Hold on. There we are. So let me just group this. Give me 1 second. Because my scene is a mess over here. Let me rename this. Glass. Oh, that's not very. Old glass. There we are. So that's my old glass. Let's hide that. And then windows off. Okay, let's do this glass. Let's call this glass quilted. All right, so that's my quilted glass.
So we're about to have a vote.
Yeah, we both have to vote, and then here's windows off.
All right, so
Now-
zoom in a little bit more.
Now, should I throw like, we did kind of have a cool light at the top. Should I try to dress this up?
No.
No?
No.
It does change how it feels though, no? Okay, that's not.
No, because let's keep it just windows.
All right, so then let's kill these lights. And I just have a directional light in HDR with some fog.
All right, so this is windows off.
Okay,
So remember,
windows-
that's an HDRI outside, so that would change. That's just for this one shot.
Yeah, we would have to put like things outside.
Okay, so that's windows off. Next one.
Original glass.
So much more church.
Okay.
I like the mosque vibe.
Without the windows?
No. Let's
This one?
do
Okay.
that one. So let's no windows, and then show the quilted.
Quilted windows.
Now, why does this have no color?
There's no textures.
Because I think if it had color, it would be a very different feeling.
Yeah, it would. It would be a completely different feeling. Like if you want to do a more fair vote, what I could do is go to my glass old, go to material, here, and just strip that out. Give me 1 second. Like that. And that was the old glass.
I think it would look really kick-ass if we had that stained glass pattern on the floor. I think it would be a very different reaction.
You mean how to get it to cast that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly not doing it normally. So, you know, I'm not sure how to get it to do that. I'd have to figure that out. I don't know if it has to do with what type of building is this? Do you expect harsh rain weather? No, we're not going to have any rain. It is our main set for these little characters.
So basically, from what I'm looking online, the way people do the stained glass thing is you just kind of have to make a render of the window, put it on another light, and project it straight down onto.
Oh, so you have to fake it.
You have to fake it.
Oh, that's so fun. It's not.
Well, what sucks about that is the moment you change the lighting outside.
That you have to move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what Miguel is saying is you have to create a light, put the texture of the glass in the light, and then that would do the floor. So that would be like a fake effect. So I don't know. Well, what do you think? Are you not sure either?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I personally think that the reason why people like, and myself included, like the one without the window is the light play on the floor. I think that looks really beautiful. Like that looks just kick-ass.
You mean like this right here?
Yeah, but if that had color, with that sort of shadowing, I think everyone would pick that one.
I see. I mean, because do you really like having to see the environment in the back? Like, it's kind of ugly, right? Like, we would have to put like a bunch of stuff in the background. So
That's what I'm saying. Then go to the stained glass window one, and then
now, which stained glass is better?
well, the other one has more color, so I like it more. I don't really care about the pattern up close because I don't ever think you're going to see it.
So quilting it is not really worth it. So here's one. This is a textured height map on the old one that's flat. And then here's the quilted one.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever be able to really tell.
Like, it's not worth it.
No.
Okay.
Turn on the other one, the glass.
Let me throw the texture back on. Give me 1 second. Just digging it up. There we are. I mean, I don't know about these colors either. So that's the other thing, struggling with color. And also, I have metallic, I got like a silky type of cloth on here, which I'm not really sure. So these are things that I've been messing with. And I don't know if I want that.
Do it again. I was looking at a documentation.
Right now, this fabric here is like really silk. It's a silk, a satiny type of fabric. What that does is it really pulls out the details, right? So that's the reason why it's there.
Yeah, but it looks like Geiger.
Yes, and I don't know to embrace that. Like, do we do like a Art Nouveau meets Geiger? You guys know Geiger? I mean...
Giger.
Do we do Art Nouveau plus that? Like the alien aesthetic? Because it does... I mean, you see it clearly, right? When in the stream, you can see all the detail.
Oh, totally. It totally looks like a Martha Stewart alien.
Okay. or do we let it, the thing is it's not textured. So details can be pulled out once it's textured. But let me show you what it looks like on a more
matte material.
Yeah.
You lose most of it.
Yeah, so that's a matte material. Right? And
can't you split the difference and not go?
well, you can do both. You can pull some out. But it does get lost. I can also reduce how, like, yeah, it's completely lost. But again, some of it depends how I want it to feel, right? Like, do we want to see the details very clearly? Or do you want it just to kind of be something that, this fabric is soft and much more recessed? Or do we want...
I mean, the thing is, once you texture it, even if it feels not so shiny, it would still come out more, right? Like, it's not like you're going to texture it one color.
Yeah, it would come out more. So this is, but we could also reduce how metallic that feels too.
That to me feels like 1970s sci-fi. Again, less Giger. Giger is that era, but...
So let's say I reduce that intensity level. Let's say this is... Right. I don't, that's a more subtle...
That's a better balance right there.
Does that feel like fabric?
No.
Now it doesn't feel like that, right?
No.
Now we don't know what it is. So when it was like this, like what that fabric is. Like you can identify that it's like a silk.
Yeah, but it's almost corny. It's almost like when I was a kid and I had like a NASA jacket, like an astronaut jacket. And if it was made out of like that thin, cheap, metallic Halloween costume. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm talking about? With like peel.
Yeah.
I think the flatter one and just texturing it is the way to do it.
This one.
Yeah.
And just trying to pull it out.
Yeah.
So then not this right here. Let's grab this. Let's do one here. That has Ray 2 materials sign. So like that.
Yeah, get a little bit closer.
We're never going to get this close. You're going to always be reading it like this.
That's not true.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, but...
Right?
I love the light play on the floor. I think if we could get that with the colored one, it would look really cool. I mean, the cool thing is, even if you did have to build the outside, it's all mega scans crap anyway.
Yeah, that's true. How about someone saying split the difference? Like what I kind of like is, I don't think this whole thing looks very good when it's all this crazy thing. It looks very busy. But I kind of like the idea that some parts of it might have been like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Can't you just control the roughness?
There's no roughness.
No, I know, not yet, but there will be.
Well, the way that this is achieved is just through the color. So, like, if you take a look, it's all driven by the albedo, and the roughness is at 1.
On all of those?
Yeah. So on the silky stuff, it is. So the color pattern is light, dark, light, and then that gets you a silk or satin type of material. Anyway, how about something like this, where it's part of it? Maybe reverse this. Or, I mean, that's the other thing. None of this might really work until I texture it, which is like kind of, really time consuming to do that. Like, how do you feel about this when it's like that?
I mean, that look at that distance, that looks like fabric.
No, but right now, half of it is a satin, and the other half is not.
Oh, I see what you did there. Like you're putting like little accents, kind of.
Yeah. Of course, that makes it harder.
That's interesting.
Like doing something like that.
That way, it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You could do that.
But I don't know. Because this one is like very overwhelming. Yeah. Anyway, that's how it rolls with us. Like, this is too much. I agree.
Okay, I'm gonna try to open Substance again. So
And this disappears. The lighting hitting, let's see. Let's look at some of these questions. Don't know if it needs a gigger details. There's already a lot going on. Let's say split the difference. I guess that's what we're talking about. Lighting design, these shots are going to be so much fun with this environment. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if I mean, I'm like into it. I don't know if I have fun. I think I'm usually just stressed out. What software do you model in the window to get this kind of shape? I did in Maya. And lighting hitting closer to the ceiling looks more fabric-y.
yeah, the stuff on the top, that's true. It does look very fabric-y up there.
Up here?
Yeah. Feels softer.
Yeah, the soft part is tricky. Like,
So does that have like a sampler info kind of setup?
yeah, it does.
It does has it for now, yeah?
Yeah. So you can see. You don't see that? The
Yeah, I
Fresnel?
do. That's why I asked.
They all have Fresnel. Fresnel of like, it's very velvety on this one. So you can see that's the material. And then the silk one, that's the Fresnel.
No, that's all Maya. Click on the model,
What's all Maya?
the window.
This? Oh yeah, it's all Maya. So that's in Maya. I did some sculpting to get some extra details, and then I retopoed it. But I did model it pretty far inside Maya. My background is in modeling and texturing.
If it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, that was my thing, And now I'm doing this. I don't teach modeling, though. I teach texturing. But I have a lot of experience modeling. So, yeah, I don't know. Miguel's going to try to load up some stuff. But yeah, I'm listening. I'm like looking at the chat, and I am looking at the input. So it's nice, and I do like hearing your opinions and everything. So that's helpful. And then, hopefully I can figure it out. But maybe we'll just have this open like this, or maybe what I'm probably going to try to do, which is going to be kind of painful, is frost the glass up and then create a texture that looks like the window, and then just project that, which is going to be a lot of steps because what Miguel was saying, just to recap that, is that it's not that this looks bad. It's just that there's no light play and there's no shadows coming in, which would be in real life, right? It just doesn't do anything with the lighting. And then once I turn it off, we get like these nice kind of patterns in the floor. So what I'll end up doing is that, which is, I don't know, it's going to be really hard, I think. Well, it will make lighting very tricky. So I'll just cry. Yeah. Okay.
What if you had to update the?
Well, yeah, first of all, it is a lot of work because basically none of these textures, if I were to show you guys the UVs, they use multiple UDIMs. I do not have everything on one texture, right? So then it's like this. So it's not as easy as like just grabbing the texture itself and projecting it, unless I want to go lower res, and I can. I'll just re-UV it and retexture it. Fun. And I can do that. These guys, I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal on glass, but for cloth, there's quite a bit of UDIMs on it. It doesn't even want to load it. That's a lot of UDIMs. And the reason why I have a lot is because textile needs a lot of resolution so that it reads like textile, or else it just becomes a blob. But I could lower the resolution on my windows and make it easier. So you don't think that the quilted pattern is worth it, right? So then I could just drop doing that and just keep the basic.
You can't even tell that it's
Not at this distance, it just becomes nothing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it might become something. Like if you look at it up close, or does that read really weird?
It just reads like textured glass, like.
No, but does the shape of it look weird?
No.
Like what if I color?
It still doesn't read like quilt though, or like fabric. It just reads like textured glass.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. The pattern on this though is better. Anyway, do you want to show some stuff?
In a minute. I'm trying to get this to it.
I'm going to save this.
So this stuff is super rough because I was working on some other stuff, but at least started going on this. So we have to
share your screen, or
Yeah.
you think it's going to crash?
I'm going to share it.
Okay. I'm going to close Unreal.
So we have these larvae that are going to be coming out of the creatures, out of the characters. Let me see if I could pull this up. Basically like this.
Hey, hold on. Not gonna lie, this dome thing looks great. Hey, Davin.
Oh, it's Davin. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Davin. So these things are gonna rip out of the belly of these little guys, right? And kind of like the chest bursters from Alien. So want them to look really gross. So I already modeled this thing really fast. And I didn't want to put a lot of detail because when we were looking at larvae, we noticed that a lot of them are fairly smooth. So wanted to keep that kind of slimy look. So this is like just a couple hours in Substance just to see what kind of look I can get. Still needs a lot of work. Let me see. Problem is there's so many UDIMs. Yeah, he's handling his worm pregnancy.
Like it would be.
So let's just go through some of these passes. Like the teeth have like no variation, but big thing was just getting like the subsurface in here to work. Without the subsurface, it just doesn't look nearly as cool. So getting that subsurface so it feels small, and then just kind of starting to layer this stuff up to get that gross look. And a lot of this stuff is just coming from some of the marbling presets that are there that are working pretty well. I don't have the little eyes inside of the little holes, which I definitely feel it needs it. But I wanted a lot of purples and stuff. Again, make it feel like it's really disgusting. And I'm not so worried about the rest of the body because you're not going to really see it. It's going to be coming out of the stomach. But yeah, the big thing is, do I put that fine little detail on it or do I not put it? And I don't know, Tran, what do you think?
Zoom in.
I don't want to zoom in too much because it'll fall apart. I need to put much more detail.
I don't think it needs it. It's gonna make it not slimy.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta texture the teeth and make them look more gnarly, and make the teeth and the little spikes on top of the head not look like they're made out of the same exact color. But yeah, that's what I was working on that. The other thing that I was doing this week, it's not necessarily related to this project, but it's just something that I thought was so cool that I wanted to show because it ties into our previous project. Let me just open it up real quick. Just give me 1 second. Hold on, I'm gonna give you the screen for 1 second.
Oh, okay. So just so everyone knows what I'm doing, I'm going to try to slap some textures on this. Like right now. Okay. Let's see.
Okay. So, wanted to come up with a better splash page for our previous project, The Voice in the Hollow, which I was never in love with our splash page. So, well, actually, let me rephrase that. So, let me just open something up real quick. So, the first splash page we did, I was really happy with it. The problem is, it was too dark and no one was freaking clicking on it, which is this one here. This thing. So I love this poster. Where are you? Let's see. Well, that's it, but I wanted it. Photoshop has become so annoying. Okay, so this one. This was our original splash page. And I love it, but no one would click on it because when they would see the thumbnail, it would look like that. It was super dark. And it also, you know, as much as I love it as a poster, it doesn't really match the colors of the film. And then we ended up using this thing here, just because we wanted to come up with something with color really quickly, but it's just a still from the film. not very inspiring. I really wanted to have something that felt like the aesthetic of our movie, which is like a grindhouse 1970s, 1960s poster. And that's where we came up with this one. Give me 1 second. So this one. So brought in some of the renders into Procreate and just started painting on top of it. And I'm happy with the way it looks. But one of the things that I started using on this project that I thought was really freaking amazing is this tool called Gigapixel. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, you were showing me that yesterday.
And it's just so absolutely incredible that I know we're going to use this throughout the project, so I kind of wanted to show it. So this is it, Gigapixel AI from Topaz Labs. So I'll show you how insane this is. So one of the things that I really wanted to get that kind of feel is, let me see if this is it here, is old movie posters, especially from this era, always have these fold lines, right? And you can see the fold lines right. Where are they? Right here somewhere. Yeah, right there. So if you zoom in, they would basically fold them up and send them in an envelope. But that's just always a sign of a vintage poster, that they're folded like that. So I definitely wanted to get that look in there. And initially what I did is I just kind of did it by hand. So I did this white line, just like that. But it didn't have the shading here. And I wanted that shading in there. So let me pull this up here and show you. So this is what I wanted. Okay? It was actually hard to find an authentic looking poster like this. So I found this one image, which I'll show you in a second. This thing here. And you could see it's very, very, very low polygon, low resolution. So that's like 100% right there. And when you zoom in, you can see it just looks like a total mess. It's just horrific. There's pixels everywhere. Look how messy that is. It's just terrible, right? You would never think that you could scale this up, especially on a poster like this, which was meant to be pretty much printed. It's pretty high resolution. Let me revert this. Right, so if I were to scale up that 500 pixel thing, it would just completely look like crap, so it wouldn't work. So anyway, I bring it into this program, and if I zoom in here, like let's focus on this part right here, you could see on the right-hand side, this is now 1500 pixels by, so let me set this to 4 times the resolution. So it'll be 3072 by 2304. And look at that. I mean, my God, that is insane. Right? Some of the letters get weird because it doesn't know what they say anymore. But like, look at the fold lines.
Yeah, it really cleans that up.
I mean, holy crap. So I grabbed this thing. So let me just save this out. Save this thing out. So it's out. And I'm going to bring it in here. And this is the second part of this madness that, I mean, at least for me, I thought this was incredible.
I think it's incredible. There's so many times that, I mean, anyone here who's done any kind of CG art has dealt with some crappy low res image at some point.
Yeah.
Wishing that it was not so bad.
So just bringing this in here and pretty roughly just selecting the stuff that I don't want. And keep in mind that I'm selecting most of the fucking poster here, right? Like, most of the stuff here has an image on it. So selecting all of this stuff here and all of this stuff here. I actually wanted to keep that. So let's just do that. Let's deselect. Let's keep what we can. So all of that, we'll get rid of this here. So that, and then I just went to edit, content aware, and I think I might be using the wrong version.
Of Photoshop.
Yeah. So give me 1 second.
Well, it's because you have the thing that's going to be really crappy is you have multiple licenses, and it's going to make you sign out of one, choose another one, which is kind of crappy.
Yeah, I might actually have to
That happens to me.
open this up one more time. Give me 1 second, guys. And by the way, that movie is actually a great movie. The Long Goodbye. It's a really good Robert Altman film. So it is cool that that's the one I got to use. So let me just open this up again. So sorry about that. So let's open this again. So bring this in here. So sorry. I know this is not the most fun thing to see, but we'll just we'll select that. We'll select this. And again, most of the stuff here is being selected, but I'm trying to keep as many, as much of the white as possible. So if I don't need that, or if I do need that, I should say, I'll deselect that area. So like this, I want to respect that. And then selecting this guy. Let me do it with my Wacom. And since my computer crashed, of course the Wacom doesn't work. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Today's one of those days.
Yeah, sorry everyone.
Oh my goodness.
You're having malfunctions.
Malfunction. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we'll just select this guy.
If you guys are noticing what I'm doing on my screen, it's like extremely tedious.
I don't think they can see your screen.
It is. There's a little icon at the bottom.
All right, so here we go. So we have this. I selected all of this, and this is the beta version of Photoshop. And we've seen content aware. It's nothing new, but this is like next level content aware. I'm just pressing generate, right? And remember, like I want to keep the fold lines. Like that's what I'm the most interested in. Like, holy shit, that is incredible, right? And now you have this right here. We could just fix that. There you go. It's completely gone. So now we have this super high res version of this paper folding that we could just, let's flatten this. Then I could just adjust my levels on this thing. You can see, you zoom in, you have all this detail. that was not in this thing.
That is pretty cool. It's gonna help texturing a lot.
Yeah, I mean this is a game changer for VFX, for making clean plates and whatever. We could adjust our levels here, get our and crop it. And now we could use that as part of our
Poster.
poster. Yeah.
I like that that crease look.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
It's funny because I collect a lot of posters, and I used to hate how that looked, and now I
Well, you wouldn't want that on original poster though, right?
yeah, but they all have it.
They all.
All original posters have it
Oh,
from,
so there's
from
nothing
that
you could do
era.
about it.
There's nothing you could do about it. So what you actually do is you send it to a place where they transfer it onto linen, which is non-acidic, like museum level quality linen, and then they go in with color pencils and they fill out the white lines, and that's how you get rid of those lines. But yeah. But anyway, I thought this combination of these two tools together, in particular the gigapixel, this thing is incredible. The other thing about this is when I went to, let me open another image here. When I finished up my final illustration of this thing, so where is it? Right here. Right. So the original image is 3,000 pixels by 2,300. So right now I have it went up to 15,000 pixels.
Oh, I did a good job, huh?
Yeah, it's just ridiculously. I mean, you can't tell the difference here because it's already high res.
But if you were to print it out, you would notice.
You would notice it if you printed it out, exactly.
Yeah. So not anyone who wants to print their digital art, you didn't render it high enough.
Exactly, and that's my point.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah. You don't have to render it much higher. You could just run it through here. The only thing that I notice is you have to play around with these settings, and it's not like there's a ton of them. Someone is saying, James here is telling me that they have a video version. Yeah, the video version is incredible. I mean, you can see the difference here. The thing is, at a certain point, it sharpens it so much that it loses the looseness of the paint. But again, for printing, I think it'll be fine. But it's pretty amazing. So, pretty cool tool. I think we're going to be using this for all kinds of stuff. Is that new PS? No, so this here is a plugin. I think it was $100 or $200 for the Topaz, and then the Photoshop is the beta version. But it was the combination of the two that really blew my mind, because you could use this stuff for all kinds of stuff. So like, let me give you like some ideas. For example, I know that there's a lot of hatred towards AI stuff. Let's say you had to create a mosaic tile, right? Okay, you could go in and do it, and if that's your thing, that's great. But if you just need to create a mosaic tile really quickly to use as a texture, you just got to get your film done. You could create a mosaic texture in AI, bring it into this program, crank up the resolution of it to 15K, then export that back into another program and use it as a texture, displace it and whatever, and now you have it as a real workable asset that you could use in 3D. It's just a bunch of different stuff, background plates that aren't sharp enough or whatever, or just a simple, just increasing the resolution of your renders. There's just a lot you could do. So anyway, really cool program. Highly recommend it. And I think that's all I have for today.
Yeah. I mean, we're at the time. I know we lost time because we had to crash. Sorry, everyone. But,
Yeah.
you know, that's what we have. And you can see there's always, while you're seeing it, you're seeing us figuring things out and encountering issues and stuff like that. Or at least I'm encountering like issues like what?
Yeah. I think I could show one last thing. Let me see if it opens. If it opens, I'll show it.
If you guys are looking at my mini screen, what I'm trying to do right now is exactly what I was saying earlier. I'm trying to retexture this and at the same time UV this in a way that I can, you know, get a projection of this so that I can project stained glass pattern on the floor. At the same time, I'm just trying to maintain my sections. So I went to Marvelous. I down-res this. It's a triangulated mesh. I don't really care. I'm not modeling anything on it, so I don't need to change it. The primary thing is that I want to maintain these shapes, so I can texture this really easy. In this way, I'm not throwing away all my quilted work. But I've also simplified it and got rid of the creases. So I'm just gonna try to do this as a glass. It will be difficult if I UV this as one piece, and I bring it into Substance and paint it, I'll have to trace all this, which really sucks. So what I can do when I bring it into Substance is if I color code it, these different shells which are already cut, if I color code this, I can get this more easily without having to retrace all this stuff. And the reason why I'm doing this is it's really backwards, and I'm probably not explaining it very well, is that I'm going to UV this in a way where it's going to be all merged. And the reason why I'm doing that is to get a stained glass projection on the floor. So it's if it sounds complicated, it is, because even in my head, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. I just have a plan in my head, like, right? And I can think a few steps ahead. Sometimes I think far enough that it's effective, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think that out, did I? So it might be one of those things. I didn't think far enough.
We got accepted into another film festival just now, the Atlanta Sci-Fi Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
So 4 today. That's a lot. Yeah, that looks really amazing. Did you want to show anything else on that, Tran?
No.
So this is the last thing. So I am done with all of these shapes. We had talked about them last time. So you can see all of these shapes, just fixing the deformation on all of this stuff. So this is all corrective blend shapes, so that when something gets weighted, it's not really art directed correctly. Or it can take a very long time to do that. So this way, we just have every joint rotated 90 or 45 degrees on each axis, and then just creating the corrective for that. So every character has this, and they have hundreds of these shapes. So I finished it on all of them, and some of these are a nightmare. Like I'll show you something like this one. Like you can't really do that, right? So to fix that and make it look quote unquote correct is kind of hard, because you can't do that, right? So that's what worked on that all week, but finally finished with all of them. And it's not, on some of them, it's not just the the body, but it's the, if they have tight clothing on, it's the tight clothing as well. So for example, these shoes, they have to be corrected as well, and it's left and right shape. So yeah, so that was the other thing we worked on. But yeah, that's it. So fun stuff. We will see you guys next week, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.